All right, so Cowboys questions that matter. I mentioned this earlier, but I want to get your thoughts. So Ezeraku with the hip surgery, going to be out until training camp. We got the news that Ezeraku and Leafau are moving because of the Christian Parker system. Do you think either or both can excel at linebacker?
I do. Now, obviously, I honestly think, Kevin, this little hip surgery that Ezeraku had is going to put a damper on things. If he's going to be ready for camp, that's fine. I understand that, but you're still losing.
It puts you behind.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And you're having to learn another position, and you have to be a little more fluid in your hips. We talk about the oily hips all the time.
Yes, you do.
Thanks to Alec Medford, who obviously is in the Medford Plex. It's very important. I think they can do the job. I think Leafau can. But he is going to have to take on a little bit bigger size than normal. I wonder if he's putting on some more weight this offseason for that. And that's got to be another thing, too, Kevin. A lot of these guys might be asked to do new things. They have to take their whole program and change it a little bit. Who are they talking to? What's the program going to be for them? Their own personal trainers now have to get on the same page with. We got to keep your speed, but also you got to take on some bigger bodies. You're going to be taking on these offensive tackles now. So... but I do think that they can make that transition just with the way that the things I think they're going to be asked to do.
Do you think the Cowboys will actually be aggressive in free agency? Now, I want to explain this one a little bit more because you just heard it in the last Sports Minute, which was really off base. He's not focusing. People are not focusing on the thing that Jerry said that matters. In my opinion.
I think you're dead on with this, Kevin.
So Jerry said, I could see us being aggressive in free agency. And then the Sportsman is like, hey, a couple of years ago he said all in. Like, that's great. But that's an irrelevant part of the quote. And that's what everyone seems to have, caught up on. This is the part of what he said that I think matters. Jerry Jones. The only way to push more is for me to go borrow some of my future. Expect me to go borrow some of my future. And we have talked about this time and time and time again. You can totally have more money created. You'll probably have to F over your cap in 2028 and to a certain extent 2027. But that's what he's talking about. And that's the part that matters. Don't get caught up in, they're going to be aggressive in free agency. That's not the part of the quote that matters. The part of the quote that matters is him saying, expect me to go borrow some of my future. And that is something that we have talked about forever. If Dak Prescott is here and you think he's the man, which they do, doesn't matter what I think, you think, what anybody else out there thinks. The Cowboys think that he's the dude that can lead this thing with some help. Then why not go for it? And that quote right there shows that he's thought it through.
Now, the action and the execution of it,
I have no idea.
But it sounds like, based on what Jeremy Fowler's saying, the Cowboys do have a very detailed plan on what they want to add to this thing this offseason. And I think, a shared vision with Christian Parker was a big factor there. Knowing that you have a dude that's not just coming in here and he's like, whatever you guys want, I'll coach them. Right. It sounds more like he's like, I want these things. I need players like this.
As it should be, right?
You absolutely should. I want this. Otherwise, why'd you bring me in here? But I think I like the coaching staff a little more than I think I've felt in a long while. I was a big fan of Christian Parker already. I like what Schottenheimer did. So the idea, though, is that Jerry has for many years now been like, there's always next year.
Yeah. And he's like, we got to dig ourselves out of a cap hole.
Yeah, and then this year, he's like, you know what? I'm kind of tired of getting my ass kicked. And I don't want that to happen again. I want to have to jump on with K&C and have them get the best of me sometimes. I want to be able to say, you know what, I put the best team together, and they're going out there to win. I believe that they are. They've shown me some things this offseason already that make me believe not that they've changed, but that they're altering some of the approaches that they want. I think they're going to spend. You don't need that money down the road if you're trying to win right now. And maybe Jerry has an idea of what this window is for himself, too, of being like, I want to win this much in this time period. How are we going to get that done? We better develop a damn good 5-year plan here.
Yeah, I mean, from the trade of Micah Parsons to hiring a different kind of defensive coordinator, and what I mean, or coordinator of any kind, and what I mean by that is somebody who doesn't have like the biggest mainstream name,
or even one of their old friends.
Yes, and moving away from those tropes has been encouraging, and then to hear him say it like that, I'm hoping, man. I'm with you.
And then I'll add this: listening this morning from him on the bus when he's like, "We don't have time. I don't have time for red shirts. We're not going into this draft picking up guys that are going to be, what are they going to look like in 3 years?
Yeah.
I need guys, you got to go. We draft you, you hit the ground running." So, like, that's their approach, Kevin, is we're not trying to project out what this guy's future is going to be. And that goes in line with, I need to borrow some of the future money. I'm not worried about 3 years from now. This is the season we need to maximize.
See, and somebody brought up the statement, maybe it's the restructures that impact the future. That, I mean, I could see where you would think that. That's not the case. Like, the way, and we've talked to Jerry about this in the past, the way they built out Dak's contract and the way they, quite frankly, built out several players' contracts is so you can flip those switches and convert to signing bonus and everything like that.
They've already said with Kenny Clark and Quentin, we need that money.
Yes.
We need those monies.
And so I think all of the restructuring they did, which that's the thing. Like, I get why people talked about it over the weekend, but I was like, man, we told you this like a month ago.
We sure did.
And so it just played out exactly.
You know what, though, Kevin? The more I know about this thing, the more I know that we don't have to tell people we told you this a month ago. Our Tolos know.
They know.
They'll tell people for us.
That's
be like,
pretty
hey,
awesome.
I heard this from K&C in December, guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate that y'all are doing this right now, but y'all got to start listening to K&C more. And it's okay. Sometimes they're a little behind. Sometimes some people that are making these things, they're a little behind, and they're still trying to figure it out. But the Tolos know. They'd be listening.
Yeah, and that's why you would have known if somebody starts an argument with you about we put the non-exclusive franchise tag on George Pickens because we're moving him, you know that is wrong.
Because you heard it here first.
Now, let's stick
Promised.
with George Pickens. Will moving George Pickens around help the Cowboys' offense evolve? Because that was one of the things they said they wanted to focus on, is moving him around and having parts of the offense revolve around him. Do you think moving George Pickens around will help the Cowboys' offense evolve?
How wouldn't it?
That's a fair point.
And
just because I guess the idea would be if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And some people would argue it worked really well the way you were doing.
Yeah, and it also does depend on his comfort level of moving around and his understanding of the routes. I think he can do it. I think he's very the more that Schottenheimer works with him, the more they get rolling there, they're going to understand a little bit. But, Kevin, there's one thing that I've learned about football. It's being multiple is important, even on offense. If you can be multiple, I don't know how many times I have to say multiple for you to understand it, but being
Alec knows, I get it.
Lining up multiple fronts, lining up in multiple places on the field, and then not allowing anybody to get comfortable. Because what happens is those defenders, they're like, okay, I know I got to go over to the right side of the field because that's where George Pickens is going to be. I'll just line up on him. Well, now you get over there and you look up and you're like, holy crap, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. My defense, how is this going to work with this guy? It changes everything. It gives you the ability to have similar looks and run different plays, but also have different looks and run similar plays. And so those things just gives you more opportunity to create explosive plays. And that's where Clayton Adams' mind is right now.
All right. My next one, is a fully healthy Simon Ravel able to be a real player for the Cowboys? Because you hear, hey, look, he's healthy for the first time in a long time, and that's great, and I appreciate that. And unfortunately, he has some baggage to carry with him in terms of the Jones family hyped him up to the moon like he's the best parts of Deion Sanders and Darrell Green combined. So, healthy, is he able to be a real player for the Cowboys?
I think so. Just hearing Christian Parker talk about him, he seems very excited to work with him. And I think he feels, just, again, hearing Christian Parker say what he said made me feel like this is a teacher that knows he can teach. When you see somebody that's good at what they do, don't they just carry themselves a little bit differently? They this is what I'm really good at, so watch. And I feel like the teaching part of it, him working on his technique, is going to be a little better. He looked like, based on what I heard him say, it sounded like he felt he had all the tools to play what they want him to do. So I think he will be. Now, do I think he's going to be the next Deion Sanders? No, I don't. Deion Sanders is a one of one. And always will be, all right? I don't think there's anybody that's ever going to say, I was Deion Sanders also. It's just not going to happen.
I bet there's a couple out there.
Yeah, that feel that they were better. Probably so. But I just, and you know what? To play that position, you probably need to think that way. But I think from the rest of the perspective, a lot of us look at it and say Deion one of one. I would love to have another body out there that's just as good, that we start going, okay, the secondary is becoming a no-fly zone, and they don't even do that whenever nothing happens. They do it for real.
Yeah, by the way, somebody asked from the 616 if the fix to freeing up money is restructuring salary into the signing bonus, then why isn't every contract starting with a large signing bonus on the front end to prevent delay of the inevitable? So one of the issues that you run into that is you are kind of playing with fire when you convert some of these contracts, because usually what the Cowboys do is they kick some down the line into those void years, which that can hurt you later. And I think the reason why not all teams do that to start is, it's like when you start a new relationship and you've had your heart broken 8 million times, you're hoping for the best this time. Mm-hmm. Like, I signed that deal hoping for the best, but also building in some loopholes in the contract that just in case the rest of my team or my signings or whatever don't go exactly the way I hoped they would, mm-hmm. then I've got a little wiggle room.
Did you get a prenup when you got married? Was that?
Oh, no. Okay. Her family definitely has more money than my family does. So, if anything, she was the chump on that.
Both Adrian and I, we gave each other prenups, so.
Oh, man.
Because we both had nothing at the time. So,
okay. So wouldn't you argue no prenup was needed?
Well, just in case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What if I found out I actually did have something, like an oil rig
the oil
there?
well. That's right. Okay, so you talked about Christian Parker. Let's go to this. Christian Parker and Jerry Jones have both talked about this. Christian Parker wants players that can play early. And then Jerry Jones said, hey, we can't redshirt a second-round pick. So I realize right now they don't have a second-round pick, but obviously we've worked to fix that. If that is the case, do you think, whether it's Jermon McCoy or any other person, do you think that might steer away from some of those players in the draft?
1,000%. I think Jermon McCoy is extremely talented, and I think on his pro day he better prove that he is healthy.
Because he said he was, didn't do anything at the combine.
My personal thought is, you see him do his stuff on pro day, and he looks ready, and he's ready, then go ahead and get him. But I think the Cowboys have said, we're going to go ahead and put a flag next to him. Mansour is the guy. Delane's the guy that we probably would look at first. I'm kind of getting more and more excited about him because we watched him. Like, Alec and I both know we have a really good understanding of what the player is. And if Broadus says he's the only player that didn't frustrate me whenever I was watching LSU games, then I feel pretty comfortable.
That's a big bit of confidence.
Now, again, when we were talking last week, though, there were some thoughts on that. Like, he has some things to prove. Because he's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest when it comes to Delane. But he's got all these good stickiness things that we like about him. So he does have some things to prove that he is, like, heady when it comes to the game. I'm using that a lot today, but it's becoming more prevalent. Being an intelligent player is important. But, yeah, man, when it comes to a guy like McCoy, I don't think you'll see him go at 12 or 20. If something was to happen that the Cowboys – this is one of the reasons, too, Kevin, that I don't think that they'd be willing to trade down for him and say, hey, let's get a discount special on this guy.
Okay.
I think that they would say, no, I'd rather take a player that we might be able to put on the field right now because he's ready to go.